In today's video, we explore 21 management interview questions and answers. Don't forget to customize these answers to highlight your unique qualifications and experiences. Here's a bonus tip. Research the company and review the job description so you can incorporate key skills relevant to the job role in your answers. Question number 1. What is your management style? When answering this question, hiring managers want to understand how you lead, motivate, and support a team. The key is to show that your style is adaptable. Effective managers adjust their approach depending on the team's needs, the project's goals, and the company's culture. Highlight qualities like communication, trust, accountability, and collaboration. Use a brief example that demonstrates how your leadership style has led to positive results in the past. I would describe my management style as collaborative and adaptable. I believe that the best results come when team members feel valued, supported, and empowered to contribute their ideas. I focus on setting clear expectations and goals, then trust my team to take ownership of their responsibilities while providing guidance and feedback along the way. I also hold regular check-ins to keep communication open and address any challenges early. For example, in my previous role, I led a team through a major project launch by breaking down objectives into manageable tasks, encouraging open dialogue, and celebrating milestones together. This approach not only kept morale high but also improved efficiency and strengthened trust within the team. I've found that when people feel heard and trusted, they're more motivated to perform at their best, which is exactly the environment I strive to create as a manager. Question number 2. How do you motivate a team? Interviewers ask this to see how you inspire productivity, maintain morale, and encourage consistent performance. Focus on strategies like recognizing achievements, creating clear goals, and providing growth opportunities. It's also important to mention that motivation is not one size fits all. Strong managers learn what drives each team member. Back your answer with a real example that shows how your approach improved engagement or results. I believe motivation starts with understanding what drives each individual and creating an environment where they feel valued and supported. I make it a priority to recognize both individual and team accomplishments, whether through public praise, small rewards, or career development opportunities. I also set clear, achievable goals and explain how each person's work contributes to the larger mission, which gives them a sense of purpose. In a previous role, my team faced tight deadlines and growing stress, so I implemented weekly check-ins focused on support, recognition, and problem solving. I also encouraged team members to share wins and insights during meetings, which boosted morale and collaboration. As a result, we not only met our deadlines, but exceeded performance expectations. I've found that when people feel seen, supported, and connected to the bigger picture, they bring their best energy and creativity to the work. And that's the type of motivation I aim to cultivate on every team I lead. Question number 3. Describe a time you dealt with a difficult employee. This question helps hiring managers evaluate your leadership, communication, and conflict resolution skills. They want to see that you can address performance or behavior problems professionally and constructively without escalating the situation. The best approach is to explain how you identified the issue, how you communicated with the employee, and what steps you took to resolve it. Always end by highlighting the positive outcome or lesson learned from the experience. I once managed an employee who had strong technical skills, but frequently missed deadlines and often clashed with teammates. Instead of letting the situation escalate, I invited them for a private one-on-one conversation to understand the root cause. It turned out they felt overwhelmed and unclear about priorities, which led to frustration and miscommunication. Together, we created a structured action plan that broke tasks into manageable steps and set clear weekly milestones. I also paired them with a peer mentor to improve collaboration and encouraged them to share progress during team check-ins. Over the next 2 months, their performance improved significantly. Deadlines were consistently met, and their relationships with colleagues became much more positive. This experience taught me that most performance issues have underlying causes, and by addressing them with empathy, clear communication, and support, managers can turn challenges into opportunities for growth. It also reinforced the importance of proactive intervention before small issues become larger problems that affect the entire team. Question number 4. How do you handle conflict within your team? Interviewers ask this to see how you maintain team harmony and productivity when disagreements arise. They want to know you can address conflict early, listen to all sides, remain neutral, and guide the group toward a constructive solution. Show that you focus on understanding the root cause, creating open dialogue, and turning conflict into collaboration. A real example of how your approach improved team dynamics will make your answer stand out. I believe conflict is inevitable in any team, but it doesn't have to be destructive. It can actually lead to better collaboration if handled correctly. My approach is to address issues early before they escalate and create a safe space for open, respectful conversation. For example, two of my team members once disagreed strongly on how to approach a client's project, and it began to create tension within the group. I first spoke with each person individually to understand their perspectives and concerns without judgment. Then I brought them together for a mediated discussion where we focused on shared goals and explored the merits of both ideas. This led to a hybrid solution that incorporated the best parts of each approach, which not only improved the project outcome but also strengthened trust and respect between the two employees. I also introduced regular retrospectives afterward to surface disagreements earlier and address them collaboratively. I've learned that conflicts, when handled with empathy and structure, can transform into opportunities for growth, innovation, and stronger team bonds. Question number 5. Describe a situation where you had to make a difficult decision. This question tests your judgment, strategic thinking, and leadership under pressure. Employers want to see how you gather information, weigh options, and make decisions that benefit the organization. Even if they're unpopular or challenging, be transparent about the difficulty of the situation and explain your thought process clearly. Always finish by sharing the outcome and what you learned. In one of my previous roles, I had to make a difficult decision about whether to continue investing resources in a long-running project that was over budget and significantly behind schedule. The team had put in months of effort, and many were personally attached to the work, so stopping it wasn't an easy choice. I gathered data on projected costs, potential returns, and strategic alignment with company goals, and I consulted with stakeholders across departments. After thorough analysis, it became clear that continuing would drain resources from more promising initiatives. I made the tough call to pause the project and reassign the team to a new product launch with higher impact potential. I communicated the reasoning openly, highlighting how their expertise was vital to the new direction. Though initially disappointed, the team rallied behind the new goal, and the product launched successfully, exceeding revenue targets by 30%. This experience taught me that leadership sometimes means prioritizing the bigger picture over sentiment and making tough calls with transparency, empathy, and strategic intent. Question number 6. How do you delegate tasks and ensure accountability? This question evaluates how well you balance trust and oversight, two key qualities of strong managers. Employers want to hear that you delegate based on individual strengths, communicate expectations clearly, and follow up without micromanaging. Emphasize how delegation not only distributes workload but also builds team capability. A strong example should show how your approach led to better results or team development. My delegation philosophy is built on trust, clarity, and accountability. I start by understanding each team member's strengths, growth goals, and workload so I can assign tasks that both leverage their abilities and challenge them to develop. I clearly define what success looks like, set realistic deadlines, and explain how the work contributes to the larger objective. This gives team members ownership and purpose. For example, when leading a cross-functional product rollout, I divided responsibilities like client communications, data analysis, testing, and documentation based on expertise. I set up weekly check-ins to review progress, address obstacles, and provide coaching where needed, while still giving everyone space to own their tasks. The result was a smooth launch delivered ahead of schedule with zero major issues, and several team members gained new skills that prepared them for future leadership roles. I've found that when delegation is done thoughtfully, it builds trust, boosts morale, strengthens accountability, and creates a more engaged and capable team overall. Question number 7. Tell me about a time you gave negative or constructive feedback. This question helps employers assess your communication skills, emotional intelligence, and ability to guide performance improvement. They want to know that you approach feedback with tact and empathy, focus on behavior rather than personality, and follow up to support growth. Use a real example to demonstrate that your feedback had a positive impact. I believe constructive feedback is one of the most valuable tools for growth, but it must be delivered thoughtfully to be effective. I always focus on specific behaviors, explain the impact they have, and collaborate on solutions. For instance, I once had a team member whose presentation skills were affecting the success of our client meetings. Instead of criticizing them in front of others, I scheduled a private conversation. I began by highlighting their strong analytical skills and contributions, then gently explained how their delivery style sometimes caused clients to lose focus. Together, we created an improvement plan that included presentation workshops, regular practice sessions, and opportunities to present in lower-stakes settings. I checked in weekly to offer support and celebrate progress. Within 2 months, their confidence and communication improved dramatically, and clients began specifically praising their clarity and professionalism. This experience reaffirmed my belief that feedback should always come from a place of support and growth. When handled well, it not only improves performance but also strengthens trust and engagement. Question number 8. How do you prioritize tasks and projects? This question is designed to see how you manage time, balance competing priorities, and make decisions that align with business goals. Employers want to know you can distinguish between what's urgent and what's important, adapt when priorities shift, and communicate clearly with your team. The best answers show a structured approach, like using frameworks, timelines, or impact assessments, and include a real example where your prioritization helped deliver strong results. I prioritize tasks by focusing on impact, urgency, and alignment with strategic goals. My first step is to clarify the larger objectives and understand any critical deadlines. Then I break projects into manageable pieces, categorize tasks as high, medium, or low priority, and allocate resources accordingly. I also maintain flexibility, as priorities often shift based on new information. For example, during a major product rollout, I had to balance customer support enhancements, feature testing, and a marketing campaign, all due within the same quarter. I collaborated with stakeholders to identify which tasks had the greatest impact on launch success and focused resources there first. I communicated these priorities clearly to the team and adjusted timelines for less critical items. As a result, we launched on schedule, improved customer satisfaction scores by 25%, and still completed the other projects ahead of the revised deadlines. This experience reinforced that effective prioritization is about clear decision-making, strong communication, and the ability to pivot while keeping the team aligned on what matters most. Question number 9. Describe a time when a project didn't go to plan and how you recovered. Interviewers ask this to evaluate your resilience, problem solving, and leadership under pressure. They want to see how you respond when things don't go smoothly, whether you take ownership, stay calm, and guide the team back on track. The strongest answers explain the situation, what went wrong, the steps you took to fix it, and the results, along with lessons learned. Early in my management career, I led a software implementation project that fell behind schedule due to underestimated complexity and unexpected technical issues. It quickly became clear that our original timeline was unrealistic, and team morale began to drop. Instead of assigning blame, I called an emergency meeting to reassess the situation with full transparency. We identified the major roadblocks, revised our timeline, and reallocated resources to focus on the most critical components first. I also established daily stand-ups to improve communication and track progress more closely. At the same time, I kept stakeholders informed with honest updates and adjusted expectations where necessary. These steps helped us regain momentum, and although we launched 2 weeks later than originally planned, the product was stable, well received by users, and ultimately exceeded performance targets. The experience taught me the importance of proactive risk assessment, transparent communication, and quick course correction. It also reinforced that setbacks can become valuable learning opportunities if handled with accountability, teamwork, and a solutions-focused mindset. Question number 10. How do you align your team with organizational goals? This question assesses your ability to connect day-to-day tasks with the company's broader vision. Employers want managers who can clearly communicate goals, inspire buy-in, and translate big-picture objectives into actionable team plans. Show that you use regular communication, measurable targets, and ongoing feedback to keep everyone aligned and engaged. I believe aligning a team with organizational goals starts with clarity and communication. I make sure every team member understands not just what we're doing, but why it matters to the company's mission and long-term vision. I break down larger objectives into clear, measurable targets for the team and individuals, and I connect each person's work to the broader impact. For example, in a previous role, our company shifted its focus to customer retention, and it was crucial that my team understood how our projects contributed to that priority. I held a kickoff meeting to explain the new strategy, then collaborated with the team to set aligned quarterly goals. We tracked progress with weekly updates, celebrated milestones, and regularly discussed how our work supported the company's vision. This approach not only kept everyone focused, but also boosted motivation because people could see the tangible results of their efforts. When team members understand how their work contributes to a bigger purpose, they're more engaged, proactive, and committed to delivering exceptional results. Question number 11. Describe your approach to hiring and developing team members. Here, interviewers want to assess how you build and nurture high-performing teams. Highlight that you look beyond technical skills to consider cultural fit, potential, and growth mindset. Discuss how you support development through mentorship, feedback, and opportunities. A strong example showing a positive outcome from your approach will make your answer memorable. My approach to hiring and developing team members is centered on potential, alignment, and growth. When hiring, I focus not just on technical skills, but also on cultural fit, communication abilities, and a willingness to learn, qualities that build strong, collaborative teams. During interviews, I use scenario-based questions to evaluate how candidates think, solve problems, and adapt to challenges. Once they join, I prioritize onboarding and mentorship to set them up for success early. For example, I once hired a junior team member who lacked experience but showed strong problem-solving skills and curiosity. I paired them with a mentor, created a tailored development plan, and provided regular feedback sessions to track progress. Within a year, they became a key contributor and eventually led a major project. I also conduct quarterly growth conversations with all team members to align their career goals with team needs. This approach not only strengthens the team's capabilities but also improves retention and morale because people feel supported, challenged, and valued throughout their journey. Before we continue, I just want to take a moment to thank you for watching this video. You can download a copy of these interview questions and answers in PDF format by clicking on the link below and supporting my channel by making a minimum donation of $3. Your support allows me to keep creating valuable content to help you pass your interview and land your dream job. Thanks for your support and appreciation. Question number 12. How do you manage underperformance? This question tests your ability to handle sensitive situations with fairness and effectiveness. Employers want to know that you address performance issues proactively, use clear communication, and support improvement while maintaining accountability. Emphasize coaching, regular feedback, and documentation, and end with a positive result if possible. When I see underperformance, my first step is to understand the root cause rather than jump to conclusions. I schedule a private, respectful conversation to discuss specific examples and listen to the employee's perspective. Often, performance issues stem from unclear expectations, lack of resources, or personal challenges. Once we identify the cause, I work with the employee to create a structured improvement plan with clear goals, timelines, and regular check-ins. For instance, I once managed a team member who was consistently missing deliverables. Through discussion, I discovered they were struggling with task prioritization. Together, we developed a weekly planning system, set smaller milestones, and scheduled brief progress reviews. Over the next month, their performance improved dramatically, and they became one of our most consistent contributors. If issues persist despite support, I follow company policy for next steps, but my goal is always to help people succeed. I believe managing underperformance is not about punishment. It's about coaching, accountability, and giving people the tools they need to thrive while protecting the team's overall effectiveness. Question number 13. Tell me about a time you led change in an organization. This question helps employers understand your ability to guide teams through transitions, which is a critical skill for any manager. They want to see how you communicate the reasons for change, overcome resistance, and keep your team engaged throughout the process. Be sure to describe the situation, your approach, the challenges faced, and the final outcome. In my previous role, our company underwent a significant shift from traditional project management to an agile framework. Many team members were used to old processes and were hesitant about adopting new ways of working. I knew that successful change starts with communication and trust, so I began by holding open discussions to explain the why behind the change, how it would improve collaboration, flexibility, and results. I also provided training sessions, created easy-to-follow guides, and paired less experienced team members with agile champions for hands-on support. Initially, there was resistance, but as people started seeing faster feedback loops and better outcomes, buy-in grew. Within 6 months, our delivery speed improved by 35%, and team satisfaction scores rose significantly. This experience taught me that leading change is as much about listening and addressing concerns as it is about implementation. By communicating clearly, involving people in the process, and celebrating small wins, managers can turn resistance into enthusiasm and guide their teams through transitions smoothly. Question number 14. How do you balance between leadership and being a team player? Interviewers ask this to see how you lead confidently without becoming detached from your team. A strong manager inspires and directs, but also collaborates and stays approachable. Highlight how you set vision and direction while staying involved, supporting your team, and showing that no task is beneath you. I believe great leaders don't stand apart from their teams. They work alongside them. My approach is to set a clear vision, provide direction, and remove roadblocks while still being actively engaged in day-to-day collaboration. I see leadership and teamwork as complementary rather than conflicting. For example, during a high-stakes product launch, I was responsible for coordinating strategy and ensuring deadlines were met. However, I also stepped in to support tasks like QA testing and client communication when the team was stretched thin. This not only kept the project on track, but also showed my team that I was invested in our shared success. The result was a seamless launch that exceeded client expectations. I've learned that leadership isn't about issuing orders. It's about empowering people, listening to their input, and being willing to roll up your sleeves when needed. That balance of vision and collaboration builds trust, strengthens relationships, and motivates teams to go above and beyond. Question number 15. What is your approach to communication? Upwards, downwards, cross-functional. This question assesses how you tailor communication for different audiences. A key skill for managers. Employers want to know you can clearly convey information to executives, team members, and other departments. Mention how you adjust tone and detail based on the audience, and give an example that shows your communication style driving better results. My communication philosophy is built on clarity, consistency, and audience awareness. I adapt my approach depending on who I'm speaking with and what they need to know. When communicating upward to leadership, I focus on strategic insights, progress against goals, risks, and proposed solutions. For my team, I provide clear instructions, context behind decisions, and regular feedback. With cross-functional partners, I emphasize collaboration, alignment, and shared outcomes. For example, during a company-wide systems upgrade, I held weekly leadership briefings highlighting KPIs and timelines, sent clear task breakdowns and updates to my team, and coordinated with other departments through collaborative planning sessions. This multi-layered approach kept everyone aligned, minimized misunderstandings, and ensured a smooth rollout that met all deadlines. I also make communication a two-way street, encouraging feedback, asking questions, and creating spaces where people feel comfortable sharing concerns. In my experience, strong communication is the backbone of effective leadership, and adapting it to the needs of each audience is what keeps projects moving forward smoothly and teams working cohesively. Question number 16. How do you measure success for your team? Hiring managers want to know how you define and track performance, both quantitatively and qualitatively. They're looking for evidence that you set clear goals, use metrics effectively, and celebrate achievements while identifying areas for improvement. Show that you measure not only results, but also growth, collaboration, and overall impact. I measure success by looking at a combination of quantitative results, qualitative feedback, and long-term impact. I start by setting clear, measurable goals that align with the company's priorities, whether that's revenue targets, project milestones, customer satisfaction scores, or productivity metrics. But I also pay close attention to how the team achieves those results. Collaboration, problem solving, innovation, and professional growth all matter. For instance, on a recent project, our main KPI was reducing customer support response time by 20%. I broke that into team-level goals, tracked progress weekly, and gathered feedback from both clients and team members. We ultimately reduced response time by 28%, improved customer satisfaction by 35%, and identified new workflow improvements in the process. I also held retrospectives to reflect on what worked and where we could improve. I believe success isn't just about hitting numbers. It's about building a high-performing, motivated team that consistently delivers value and continues to improve over time. Question number 17. Describe a time you managed competing priorities or stakeholder needs. This question evaluates your ability to navigate complex situations where multiple demands pull you in different directions. The best answers show how you stayed organized, communicated transparently, and made decisions based on business priorities. Use a real example where your approach led to a successful outcome despite conflicting demands. In a previous role, I managed a project where two major stakeholders had conflicting priorities. One wanted speed to market, while the other prioritized extensive quality testing. Both were critical to the company's success, so I knew I needed a solution that balanced both needs. I began by meeting with each stakeholder individually to fully understand their goals and concerns. Then, I brought everyone together for a collaborative discussion and proposed a phased approach. We would release a minimum viable product, MVP, quickly to meet market timelines while continuing additional testing and improvements in subsequent updates. This compromise satisfied both sides and kept the project moving forward. Throughout the process, I maintained frequent communication, shared progress reports, and ensured transparency around trade-offs and decisions. The result was a successful launch on schedule, followed by incremental improvements that enhanced product quality. This experience reinforced the importance of active listening, clear communication, and creative problem-solving when managing competing priorities, and the value of finding win-win solutions that align with the organization's bigger goals. Question number 18. How do you deal with stress and pressure in a management role? Hiring managers ask this to see how you stay composed, make sound decisions, and lead effectively under pressure. They want someone who can model resilience for the team and prevent stress from impacting performance. The best answers mention practical strategies you use to manage stress, how you help your team stay calm, and an example of how you handled a high-pressure situation successfully. I view stress and pressure as natural parts of leadership, and I've learned to approach them proactively rather than reactively. My first step is to stay organized. I prioritize tasks, break projects into smaller steps, and tackle high-impact items first. I also make sure to communicate clearly with stakeholders because uncertainty often fuels stress. Personally, I use short breaks, structured planning, and reflective time to stay focused and level-headed. One example was during a major system outage at my previous company that threatened key client relationships. Instead of panicking, I immediately assembled a cross-functional task force, delegated responsibilities based on strengths, and communicated frequent updates to both clients and leadership. By staying calm and focused, we resolved the issue within 24 hours and even received praise from clients for our transparency and professionalism. That experience reinforced my belief that pressure is best managed through preparation, clear communication, and strong leadership presence. When I stay composed and solution-focused, it helps my team remain calm, confident, and committed to overcoming challenges. Question number 19. Tell me about a time you disagreed with upper leadership and how you handled it. This question evaluates your professionalism, communication, and ability to challenge ideas constructively. Employers want to see that you're not afraid to voice your opinion, but you do so with respect and focus on solutions, not conflict. The best answers describe a real disagreement, how you presented your perspective, how the situation was resolved, and what you learned from it. In one of my previous roles, leadership proposed reducing the length of our onboarding program to accelerate hiring, but I strongly believed this would hurt long-term retention and team performance. Instead of outright rejecting the idea, I gathered data on how onboarding length correlated with productivity and retention in past hires. I then scheduled a meeting with the leadership team and presented my findings, along with a proposed alternative, streamlining redundant parts of the program while maintaining key training components. I framed my feedback around shared goals, emphasizing how the revised approach could meet both speed and quality objectives. After reviewing the data and discussing the risks, leadership agreed to my plan. As a result, onboarding time decreased by 20% without sacrificing quality, and retention improved by 15% in the following quarter. This experience taught me that disagreements, when handled with respect and supported by evidence, can lead to better outcomes. I believe it's important to challenge ideas constructively while remaining collaborative and focused on what's best for the organization. Question number 20. How do you build trust and a positive culture in your team? This question digs into your leadership philosophy and people skills. Hiring managers want to know how you foster collaboration, psychological safety, and mutual respect, all of which drive team performance. A strong answer mentions communication, consistency, recognition, and inclusion, plus an example of how your approach built a stronger team culture. Building trust and a positive team culture is one of my highest priorities as a manager because it's the foundation for collaboration, innovation, and performance. I focus on 4 key elements: clear communication, consistency, empowerment, and recognition. I'm transparent about goals, decisions, and challenges so the team always understands the bigger picture. I also lead by example, following through on commitments, owning my mistakes, and treating everyone with fairness and respect. For example, when I took over a team that had gone through frequent leadership changes, morale was low and trust was fragile. I started by holding individual meetings to understand concerns and ideas, then implemented regular team check-ins, clear performance expectations, and peer recognition shout-outs. I also created an open feedback culture where everyone's voice was valued. Over the next several months, engagement scores rose by 40%, turnover dropped, and collaboration improved dramatically. That experience reaffirmed my belief that trust is built through consistent actions over time. When people feel valued, heard, and supported, they're far more motivated to contribute their best work and help the team succeed. And finally, here's the last management interview question. Question number 21. Do you have any questions for me or for us? Hiring managers ask this to assess your genuine interest in the role and your ability to think critically about whether the company is a good fit for you. Asking thoughtful questions shows initiative, curiosity, and long-term thinking, qualities they value in strong leaders. Avoid basic questions you could find on the company website. Instead, focus on topics like leadership expectations, team culture, success metrics, or growth opportunities. Aim to ask 3 to 4 meaningful questions that spark a real conversation. Yes, I do. I always find this part of the interview important because it helps me understand how I can contribute most effectively if I join the team. First, I'd love to know how you define success for this role in the first 6 months and the first year. What outcomes or changes would you like to see? Second, can you share a bit about the leadership style and culture within this organization and how managers typically collaborate with their teams and peers? Third, I'm interested in how this role fits into the company's longer-term strategic goals. Where do you see the team evolving over the next 2 to 3 years? And lastly, what do you enjoy most about working here? These questions help me gain a deeper understanding of the company's priorities and values while showing you that I'm serious about aligning my leadership approach with your vision and contributing to meaningful long-term success. If you want to learn more on how to land jobs and reach your career goals, don't forget to hit that subscribe and bell notification button to get new videos every single week. Also, don't forget to hit that like button because that motivates me to keep doing what I do. Stay safe, keep smiling, and good luck.